welcome everybody. This is live in the session studios. This is a special one. We have not been going live in the session studio for quite some time, but we are trying to come back, and we thought this would be a perfect time to come back. It's Black Maternal Health Week, and my friend Latoya, she had let me know. She was like, you know what? I said we need to go live. We need to do another one of these things because I had the surgery, and we were talking about our history of our medical history and things like that. And so we did a few lives with each other. And this time we was like, we had some really serious changes in our lives. And we was like, we got to update and we got to do another one. So, and she was like, this is going to be the perfect week. This is Black Maternal Health Week. And so that's what we're going to do. So I wanted to make sure that we speak about these things because I didn't realize how many women were suffering with this until I had mentioned it to you guys. And then everybody was saying they were having the same thing. And so it kind of leaves you wondering, like, what's going on that we're all struggling with heavy menstrual cycles. We're have to, go into the emergency rooms, in and out of the doctor's office, fibroids and all these options and all these things. And we really don't know which way to go. And a lot of the times, depending on what type of health insurance you have, it depends on the kind of answers you're going to get. And so we want to make sure that we give you the information that you need, arm you with the information that you need for the questions you need to be asking them so that you can get the right information back. So I'm so excited to have my friend, Miss Latoya Dwight here. She is such an amazing woman, and you guys are going to love her just as I do. And she is going to definitely be sharing her story with us. And you guys feel free to chime in and tell us your stories as well. I think I'm going to do a live where I'll let you guys come call in. So you're not really calling because, you guys got to come in on live anyway, but you don't have to put your face on, and you could just, just say what it is and we could just talk about it, because I think it's very important that we do talk about it. And Latoya had a similar situation when she started saying stuff on her Facebook, and it just went crazy on her Facebook, but she's going to tell her story. So I'm about to bring her up right now. So everybody in the room, let's welcome Miss Latoya Dwight, y'all. Oh, I even have applause here. So let me see if I can find it. Look at that.
Thank you.
So welcome, Latoya. I'm so happy that you are here.
Yeah.
So how are you doing?
I'm happy to be here, Nikki. We've met, oh my gosh, maybe 5 years ago via social media.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw your product. I was like, oh, I like that design. I love what she's doing. And I think I tried ordered one of your products, and then I ended up sending you a DM. It's like, let's chat. So it's been a little while, but first and foremost, thank you. Thank you for having me tonight. I don't take it for granted. I know there's several other people you can be talking to, especially during Black Maternal Health Week. And so I just want to tell you, I appreciate you for allowing me to have my voice heard. To answer your question, I'm doing well. I am doing well. And it feels good to be able to say that and mean it.
Mean it.
Like, I think it's almost become like second nature. People would say, how you doing? I'm doing good. I'm doing fine. But you may have a whole bunch of crap that you're dealing with personally, financially, and so many other aspects of your life.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually feel well. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. How you doing?
I'm living a dream, girl. I'm living a dream. So no, I'm doing well. I can say the same thing. I am doing well. Especially with my energy, I'm feeling like, with the eclipse, with spring, everything is just new energy, and it's just a fresh start for me. That's what I'm feeling right now.
Awesome. I love it.
That's what I'm feeling.
Were you able to see it at all?
No.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we weren't in it. It just looked like it was a storm going to come through. We didn't get the darkness or anything like that. I didn't go outside to go see it because I have a conspiracy theory mind, and so I was like, I'm not going out there looking at that. So I stayed inside.
I think me and you may share a lot of the same sentiments. I didn't see it either. It was like a little overcast, as if it was.
Yep.
Same here.
Yep. Because I was like, I'm not going out there to look at that.
Right.
You're making everybody go out there to look at that. What if everybody starts turning into zombies?
What if we all go blind?
Okay.
What y'all really got us looking at? Is that really?
Right?
create the eclipse.
So yeah, I was like, So let's check and see who we got in the building before we get started. So we have the Black Candle Makers Club. Hey sis, Jules is in the building. We got Latrice. That's who I want to come and check out, to come and represent for us. She's in Atlanta. So Latrice of Heartbeat Candles, she's here. Laura, Miss Lakeisha, Keisha's in the building. Jasmine is in the building. Good evening, Jasmine. Dee's in the building. Miss Deltra. Hey, sis. Hey, Chantel's in the building. All right, y'all. Nikki, that is so me. Conspiracy theory central over here. I know that's right.
I ain't gonna say nothing because my husband think I'm a little bit weird already as it is.
Well, you call me crazy, you call me a weirdo, because that's exactly what I am. And when my theories start coming to life and you start seeing things,
that part.
I'm just saying.
Right.
But we got. I said we're gonna have a whole conversation about this another time, but we definitely need to. I like to have the private one so people don't, judge you or anything. The public, not me, not my people in here. They know, but
Ready whenever you are.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So, okay. So introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your company.
Yes. My name's Latoya Dwight. I'm the founder. I just added another brand, which I haven't even announced yet. I just added another brand on Friday. So I guess you guys get the first.
That was the good news. That's when you had an interview or something.
Well, that one too, but this
okay.
I'm the founder of the Fibroid Pandemic. I'm also the founder of Pad the Pandemic, which is a nonprofit, 501c3. I'm also the race director, curator of Run FAR 5K. FAR is an acronym for Fibroid Awareness and Resources. And I'm also the owner of Pure Bloom Essentials, that's a distributor for toxic-free sanitary napkins.
Oh, nice. Because from what I'm hearing,
Mm-hmm.
the pads that we're using, the tampons that we may be using, may be something that can be contributing to fibroids.
1,000%.
Or making them or worsening them.
1,000%. You the nail on the head. I mean, it's like the way that I say it is like I compare it to when you're a cigarette smoker and you become addicted to nicotine. It's like a domino effect. The more you smoke, the more addicted you become. You become, the more you smoke. Like with a lot of sanitary products we use that are just on the counter at the Walgreens and Walmarts and CVS's and Rite Aids or whatever. We use these products to help mitigate our menstrual cycles, right? The try to protect us and keep us from overflowing and everything. And oftentimes, the majority of them are made with recycled products, and they go through this 3 to 6 stage bleaching process to make them pure and to make them clean. And they're organic. What I tell people, because I hear a lot of women say, "Oh, my stuff is organic," and I'm like, okay, read the fine print, because 9 times out of 10, it's going to be just a top layer of that multi-layer sanitary.
And if you the organic matter that they said, okay,
you're using tampons, and that's a whole different topic. That's part of that. Is actually not part of the conspiracy theory. So you're right. So these products, our sanitary products, are made with recycled items, right? Recycled chemicals. And actually, and you guys can research it yourself, a lot of the chemicals are actually outlawed in other countries. What we're doing is we're using these sanitary, products that are really non-sanitary, and we're bumping them up against the base of our womb, the base of our uterus, the base of our cervix, right there against our vagina. And if you're using tampons, it's actually right there. Body's supposed to be able to free flow of this, the toxicity that it's shedding, right, every single month. And by entering these tampons, for example, what you're doing, you're not really allowing your body to fully rid of it, to fully void of it, because you're kind of keeping it right there at the base of your cervix. So that can actually contribute to a lot of the bacteria vaginosis that we develop, a lot of the infections as well. But about the actual pad itself, it's actually, you probably heard of the Rain Pad, REIGN. It's actually created by a Black man here out of Atlanta, Georgia. It was designed by his wife, and they did it together because of all the reproductive issues that she was having, a lot of the menstrual cycle, a lot of the issues she was having with her woman parts, right? And so it's world renowned. They're amazing. And interestingly enough, I've been using their product for about 5 years now, myself personally. And I finally just decided to become one of their distributors. I just decided on Friday, and I had a day, and I had 2 events over this weekend that was pre-planned before that. But that's when I kind of first launched it. So yeah, Pure Bloom Essentials is my brand. I wholeheartedly believe in it. I use it myself. My family use it. And I never ever could even imagine going back to regular sanitary products. It's funny because yesterday I was at an event, Nikki, and this one lady's like, "Well, I use this brand called I get it off of Amazon." And I named it. The first guest, she was like, "How'd you know?" I was like, "Because I used to use that brand." My transition when I was going to a healthier product, that was actually one of the very first products I used. And I said, you know, before I go back to an Always or a Kotex or whatever those other brands are, that would probably be like my worst case scenario. The brand that she's using now is actually called Rael. And I said, you got to do your research and really look at the chemicals that are in these products, because they don't really tell us that dioxin is toxic. Dioxin is outlawed in several different countries. They don't tell you that. They don't tell you that a lot of these, the recycle, they may say that's recycled, right? But they don't tell you that when you think of recycling, like, it comes from the dump, right? From
Right.
they take it and recycle it and make it pure and clean, send it through these, 6, 7 layer bleaching processes.
Yeah.
Very, very harsh on our bodies and our reproductive system. So, if I can help contribute to living a sanitary lifestyle by way of clean, toxic-free sanitary products, then I have thoroughly done my job. And that's just one of the brands that I'm really, 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 really passionate about. Very passionate about it.
And I think that's very important because, the ingredients that we have in our foods are outlawed in other countries as well. And they allow those same things in our foods, and it also deteriorates our health. And so as far as our womb health and taking care of that, we're not so educated. And I'm gonna speak for myself. I can't speak for everybody because everybody in the room may have went and did research.
Mhm.
But speaking for myself, I know that I didn't research any pads. And when I say recycled, I'm just thinking, oh, okay, it's just recycled. I'm not thinking, like adding everything together, like what could it possibly be made of? And what all I'm trying to do is stop the bleeding. All I'm trying to do is make sure that I have a pad or a tampon that's heavy enough so that I'm not going to have any accidents on my clothes. And I think that it is wonderful of you to do something like this to bring the awareness to people, because I think this is something that's very important to all of us as women, as Black women. I think it is something that we all need to have this conversation about, because if you don't share information, like if you know something, you can help somebody out, help somebody else out. My cousin, she had same thing, fibroids, and I think it just is, it's hereditary, because so far everybody in my family, all the girls, have had the same issue, right? And so some of us have had it worse than others. And so one of my cousins ended up having a coma due to her excessive bleeding.
Mhm.
And so, we don't know that there's options, because again, we just want to stop the bleeding. You know what I mean? And for you to be, doing this, I think this is amazing. And I will sing it from the high heavens with you, girl.
I appreciate you, honey. The thing is that you're right. We just want to stop the bleeding. We constantly suffer in silence.
Yes.
Her up. I mean, I'll tell you myself personally before we get into my whole story. But in full transparency, I was quadrupling up. I
Mhm.
had a whatever the super duper ultra tampon.
Mhm.
I don't even know what level that was. Um, Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most absorbent. I was an 11. Okay,
Mhm. Mhm.
tampon. I had the overnight pad. I would wear a pair of absorbent underwear and a pair of spandex shorts, and then my outer clothing to try to avoid an accident. And I would have to change it every hour and a half on the hour and a half. If not, I would have and I probably sometimes I still did have an accident. And it's like, it's crazy because when I was first diagnosed, and I'll explain to you later why I'm doing air quotes,
Mm-hmm.
have bad periods. I couldn't even relate. I didn't even know what that was like. I couldn't even relate to it. And so what happens is we suffer in silence for so long because it's embarrassing. It's humiliating. You know, people look at you, you're 20, 30, 40 years old. How are you possibly having an accident? You know, it speaks to your cleanliness as a woman. It speaks to, you know, how are you just taking care of yourself? Like, how can you possibly have an accident?
Right.
I laughed at my best friend's joke, or because I sneezed, or I coughed, or I stood up from a seating position, or quite frankly, because I did nothing but just sit there. And people don't realize that it's humiliating, and it affects you in so many different aspects, you
Yeah.
know. And actually, one of my posts was about this a couple months ago. It affects you mentally. You become isolated because you can't go to your coworker's birthday party. You can't go to your best friend's anniversary party because you're so afraid of having an accident. You don't want to ruin the night or ruin your night.
Mm-hmm.
People will forego, like, you know, professional opportunities, rather than trying to get this promotion to become a district manager or a regional director where you're flying all over the country. They forego that because they know that they can't be on an airplane for 4 hours, or they can't be in a car for 3 hours, or they can't be in front of a stadium auditorium, you know, training people. They can't be in their feet for too long. So it affects you professionally. And then let's not talk about the intimate part of it. You know, all of these go back to mental health. It really screws you up. It screws you up really, really bad. And one of the reasons why, because I said you sit there and you suffer in silence for so long. Statistically, women wait between 3 to 4 years before doing something about their I mean, we're talking 365 days per year, 3 to 4 years before doing something about these fibroids, and you don't have to. But
Mm-hmm.
if you don't know about it, you don't know what you don't know. I didn't know. I didn't even know I had fibroids.
Mm-hmm.
And these are things that people are dealing with. You got these bad periods, and you know, you can't even really be there for your children, because I'll tell you from my personal aspect, if you're so exhausted, you lose so much blood every single month. You are beyond lethargic. You are literally at a zero.
Mm-hmm.
No energy. You may even become anemic. One of my good friends, she would bleed for 45 days in her 30s. She would bleed for 45 days straight, to a point where she became anemic, and she would go to have blood transfusions at the emergency room so often that they literally knew her by first name. And that's not good. Like, no more suffering in silence, ladies. Take that damn cape off, burn that shit, and put yourself first, because at the end of the day, we have zero in the tank for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we work like a dog for these jobs, who treat us ill will, right? Ill man. We be in these relationships. We give our all to our significant other. We give our all to our friends, our family, our children. We're like the last on a totem pole.
Right.
I'm not the one to make New Year's resolutions, but this year I told my husband, I said three things. Number one, I'm getting a house cleaner. I'm getting a housekeeper. I'm not cleaning up no more because I don't want to. Because on my days off, I want to be able to relax.
That's right.
I'm not doing that. And
Mm-hmm.
that to our darn calendar. It has to get done. And who does it fall on? I mean, of course he helps, but it's not the same.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Number two, I'm not cooking no more. I
Oh,
don't. I ain't
you're
cooking.
not cooking no more.
I've been cooking since I was 10 years old. Nick, I'm about to be 50 years old this year. I ain't cooking no more. I'm getting meal service. And number three, I'm gonna treat myself to one massage a month, just one. Because I love massage. I will get them like maybe 3 times a year, twice a year. But you know what? That's part of my mental health. That's part of really putting first. And if a friend, a family, a child, a significant other, or a job, if they have a problem with me putting me first, what does that really say about what we got going on here?
Hello.
I can't be good for you if I'm not good for myself.
That's right.
And so often we'll put ourselves last, dirt last. I'm not.
Mhm.
I'm not doing it no more.
Right. And we're on fumes, we're on dust, we're like just barely existing.
Barely.
Barely existing.
And that's so true. Like, we're literally walking around like zombies. I mean, there are women who, my friend, for example, her blood count was so low. They were like, how are you even, like, they legit told her, you should be dead. How are you even walking around?
Yep. And that's the same that, and that's what they told me when I went to the emergency room. They
Mhm.
said that my blood levels, they were low, but they weren't dangerously low yet for a transfusion. If I came back and it was lower than it was, then I would have to get a transfusion.
Mhm.
But I was lucky that I didn't need one.
Mhm.
But those periods, like 45 days, I can tell you that after I had, and I'm also contributing, I think my fibroid situation to birth control, because I had not known about all my life, no fibroids, no anything, no, there was nothing ever shown, no one's ever said anything. So after I started taking birth control, and when you said your friend was bleeding for 45 days, I thought about that because when I took the depot, and I did a video on YouTube a long, long time ago when I took the depot, and I told everybody, don't take it.
Yeah.
Right? I told them, don't take it because it's poison. All of the things that it did to my body, I bled the whole entire time. So, those shots are 3 months.
Yes.
So 3 months, 6 months, and I think on the third, did I stop the third time? Or was it the two times? I don't remember, but I bled the whole entire time.
Mhm.
Every single day. I'm like, this cannot be healthy. You cannot bleed that long and it's healthy. You
No,
know what I'm saying?
no, I actually took the double one time and it gave me whatever symptoms. Like I remember thinking I was almost about to die. And my son was, I think it was shortly after I had my son. So he was still fair, probably not even 6 months old.
Mhm, mhm.
And my son is 30. I never did it again. I did it one time. I just did one round. I didn't go to 3, 6, 9. I did one and that was it. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Mm-mm.
let me tell you, I felt like I was blacking out. Like I would get so angry. I could feel my blood boiling. That's how angry I was getting. My fingers would get so numb, my fingers and toes, that I could feel the pins and needles. And it would take so long for my fingers to get the feeling back. And I would have these pains in my legs. And I was like, this is not normal. And the doctor told me, and it was an older white doctor, and he told me, because I really don't think, and I'm just going to speak for myself and don't take offense to nobody, take offense to it. I don't think older white men have your best interest at heart as a GYN. I just don't.
You don't need to apologize. There's proven fact was called, I mean, medical disparities, disparities in healthcare. That's a proven fact. So, I mean, people can get upset, and I understand because the truth does hurt. It's not comfortable, but imagine how much more uncomfortable it is for the person going through it.
Yeah.
So, don't ever feel the need to apologize for that.
Hmm. Hmm.
And this is our experience. I mean, if you mad because of my experience, then change it. Simple as that.
And that's the facts.
Experience, change it.
And that's true. But I said, you know what, I can't do this because the doctor told me, oh yeah, it's going to be fine after this one. Firstly, you're not a woman, period. So let's just get women in the picture here, right? You're not a woman, so you don't know how this is affecting me. And I'm telling you that I have my quality of life is barely there. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm bleeding every day, and I'm bleeding. I'm going through pads. I'm going through tampons, and just like you, doubling and tripling up, because I'm like, I need 3 pads on, I need a tampon. Like, it was so much, right? I'm like, I can't take this. This cannot be what my life is, And he was like, well, you do it one more time, it's going to, it'll stop because your body had to get used to it. It did not stop.
There may be a little bit of truth there, but not to that extent, right?
Hmm.
Thing, what has happened in our medical system is things that are common have become the norm. Just because they're common doesn't mean it's normal.
Right.
And that's a huge difference.
Hmm.
It's a tremendous difference. And this is the reason why you have to be your biggest advocate, your greatest cheerleader. I mean, you have to have the biggest damn pom poms and the biggest bullhorn and cheer for yourself like you've never cheered for
That's
anybody.
right.
And you cannot give up. Don't give up. You don't have a choice. This is your life.
This is your life. That's right. That's
Literally, it's not a bad period. It's not about toxic products. This is your life. It's legit your life. And people need to understand that. Like that's why I say don't feel the need to apologize because this is our life. This is our reality,
right.
you know?
And then initially, like when I first went in, I'm thinking, okay, because initially that's the first thing he said. Well, I think you need a hysterectomy. I need a hysterectomy.
Can you my
I
blood?
don't even remember how old I was. And I was like, I don't want that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to try to do everything that I can so that I can not get it. Because why are you telling me that? Then to find out that the doctor that I was going to, he retired. He kept making me go to get an ultrasound every time I went. And I'm like, why there's nothing, the size didn't change, but shouldn't you be checking me? Shouldn't you, be giving me other options? He's like, well, you didn't want to take the birth control. And I don't. And I didn't want to take the birth control because I have another thing with that as well. Because I had a bad experience with Depo and
That's
I don't want anything else.
lighting. I hate that you had to go through that.
Hmm.
That's gaslighting to the damn nth power. That's ridiculous. I mean, a hysterectomy or birth control or ultra, that's not the end. That's not the tell all be all.
Mm-mm.
Other things that could come into play between all of those items. And this is why, again, I say we have to be our own greatest advocate. You have to. You have to.
Yeah. Yeah. And if anybody in the room has experienced heavy periods, anything like that, feel free to put it in the chat. I know I see we have some Fantasia. I think that's how you say it. It looks like Fantasia Ivy. She says, I love all of this. Hearing a Black woman say that is amazing. Jules said, yep, I had to get blood transfusions for 6 weeks prior to my hysterectomy because my iron level was 6 and should have been 11 plus. I was extremely anemic with all the blood I was losing every month. And I too am anemic.
Mm.
Chantel says, that's why I didn't take it when my OB offered it to me. Yeah, that depot shot was insane. My aunt told my mother, she was like, do not let her get the shot again.
Mhm.
Do not let her get the shot. And my mother told me too late because I had already went to the doctor and got it. And I had to suffer. There was no way to not suffer.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm
So,
anymore now.
right, right. But I think let me get to these and then I'm gonna come back. So I'm gonna stick a pin in it. But Toya says I was very fortunate and never had menstrual issues with bleeding. However, I did end up having a fibroid during postmenopause a few years ago. Dana said I bled for 4 weeks straight. My male OB told me it was the weather change. That was the last time I saw him. They just be giving us all like, what kind of information is that?
Weather change? Wow, I've never heard that one. I have never. I'm so sorry, y'all. I have never heard that one.
Hmm. And I think they're just guessing, and I don't think they really care to give you with the quality care that you need. I don't think they care to do that. I think they're just trying to do their job and just leave. I'm going to just offer whatever and then you take it and you go. But I did notice that when I had a different health care instead of state insurance or government insurance, I paid my health insurance. And so you notice the different kind of care that they give you. When I went to the doctor, the GYN told me I would have never given one of my patients one. I would never tell you to take the depot shot. A doctor told me she would never tell me to take the depot shot.
Wow.
That's the difference of the quality of the healthcare that you get, depending on what you have.
So there's definitely some truth to that.
Mm.
Absolutely. And the reason why I can agree with you, Nikki, on that is because I don't tell a lot of people, not that's a secret, it just doesn't come up. But by profession, I'm actually a vice president of health solutions for a major consulting company across the globe, a major consulting company that has locations across the globe.
Mhm.
And basically, I'm an employee benefit consultant. So I negotiate business contracts with insurance carriers on behalf of employers, anyone who has 500 employees up to 10,000. So I'm on the front lines writing these contracts with Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare, Aetna, Cigna. And I do have to get involved every so often with these claims. For example, you're owner of a company, you got 500 employees, and you're at the hospital with your child, and you call Latoya, hey, Latoya, Blue Cross is saying that we don't have coverage. Well, I know you do because I personally wrote your contract.
Mhm. Mhm.
Go to bat for you and just call my guy at Blue Cross or whatever. But I said it to say that you're absolutely right. There is a certain level of care that you may or may not receive contingent upon the type of insurance you have. What I will say about that is number one, always make sure you understand your coverage that you're buying. Never, ever, ever buy your policy based on price and price alone. If you do your research and you thoroughly examine the different options and that the cheapest is just so happens to be the best for you, that's fine. But you never go in and simply base it on price and price alone. Number two, you never base your decision on name recognition only. People pull up the insurance. Oh, I want Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Right.
Now, after you do your research, if Blue Cross is the best one, then that's fine. But people think of, when you think of medical insurance in our country, when you think of medical insurance, you automatically think of Blue Cross. Just like when you think of a burger, you think of McDonald's. They just go hand in hand.
Right.
Always mean that it's the best option for you, though. People always want a PPO plan until I said, well, why do you want a PPO? Tell me why. They can't. It's the best. Well, what dictates the best? What determines an insurance policy to be the best? Because, Nikki, I can guarantee you right now, what's best for you may not be what's best for me.
Correct.
It may not be what's best for her. And people understand that. They don't, I mean, I can tell you employee benefits, and I do medical, dental, vision, disability, short and long-term disability, life insurance. They call them voluntary work site, almost like the Aflac plans. I mean, I've been doing this for 24 years. They see me coming in these rooms at the negotiating table. You're Latoya. How many white people you know name Latoya Dwight? Yes, I'm Latoya. Yes, I am. I know my stuff too. So, and I could go to bat. I can get at the negotiating table with the best person out there. So always make sure you are thoroughly reviewing your options before you select it. Now, again, once you do your research and you realize that this is what's best for you, that's fine. But just don't base it on price, name recognition, and the product recognition. Or don't just say you want the cheapest or only Blue Cross or just a PPO just because.
Right.
Understand that. They
Yeah.
don't. They don't.
Because they don't treat you the same, and you don't get the same. And like we said, you don't get the same quality care at all.
Tell you a small, and I know this is a whole different subject, and I'm not going to take up all of our time for this. I actually did a Let's Be BFFs, Become Financially Fit for Fibroids.
Yes.
Again, I did like 2 years ago. But one thing I tell people is when you're looking at insurance, there's so much I can say. I'm trying to condense it down. Okay, HMO, maintenance organization, health maintenance organization. 9 times out of 10, people's like, I don't want HMO. Why? People, they don't even understand why. You got your HMO, you got your point of service, which is also called POS, which can also be open access POS. Then you have your PPO. PPO is going to be the most expensive option of the three, and PPOs have the largest provider network. So if someone says, well, Latoya, I want a PPO because I want the largest network, I would say, okay, that makes sense. But if you live in a metropolitan area, such as Atlanta, such as Baltimore, such as Detroit or LA, or, exactly. If you're in a metropolitan area, you don't have to have a PPO. You really don't, because I can guarantee you HMO and open access POS doctors, they're almost going to be almost the same exact count for count. Meaning that you're not going to see a huge difference between the number of doctors who are in PPO versus those who may be in an open access POS or an HMO. Now, if you live in a rural area, damn sure get PPO, because think of it like a round ball, right? Like a circumference. HMO is going to be the smallest network. Open access POS, which is little bit larger than your HMO. Then you have your PPO, the largest expansion, the largest footprint is going to be your PPO. If you're in a metropolitan area, 9 times out of 10, the same doctors take the same policies. The HMO, the only reason why people would not want an HMO, because I'll take HMO. If my doctor's in a PPO network, but they're also in an open access POS and HMO, I'm taking an HMO.
Right.
It doesn't make sense to go with a more expensive policy when my doctor's already in the network for the plan.
What you need. Yeah.
You follow me here? So you can get a POS, open access. So HMO means in-network only. That's all it means, in-network only. Your primary care doctor has to navigate all of your care to any type of specialty provider. If you go to a non-participating doctor, that's fine. You can, but you're not going to have any coverage at
Right.
all. Zero.
Right.
Open access POS, you have in network and out of network. You can have a open access, meaning you can do your own self referrals.
Mm-hmm.
Closed access, like an HMO, where your doctor has to regulate, has to navigate,
Right.
delegate, or and so that you can have either or. Then PPOs can be no referrals required. You can go to in network or out of network. But I mean, I don't discriminate. For me personally, and it's funny because my friends and family know I've been doing insurance for so long.
Mm-hmm.
For you, for real, like, what's the best company? Like, as if there's like a big secret. I'm like, whoever the hell gonna pay my bills, whoever gonna pay for my claim, they're gonna cover my service, they're gonna cover my prescriptions, cover my, whatever.
Okays.
Exactly. But also, and then we can move on, but also know that there's what's called exclusions and requirements. So exclusions, just because you have insurance doesn't mean everything's going to be covered.
Right.
There's policy.
Dental's definitely sometimes your dental policy be like,
Exactly. So there's policy exclusions. You need to know what those exclusions are.
mm-hmm.
But then you also have what's called policy limitations, right? Or requirements. So for example, I'm going to use step therapy drugs, right? If you are someone, GLP-1s, which are like the new Ozempics, right? Right. So people are taking Ozempic not only for diabetes, but also for weight loss. And I'm going down a route. I'm going to try to keep it real simple. I get it. I'm not for it. I'm not against it. Whatever you do is what you do. But you need to understand that not all policies are going to cover that off the rip.
Mm-hmm.
They make you go through what's called step therapy. Step therapy means you got to try XYZ drugs first before we may even possibly consider this more expensive one.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have like rheumatoid arthritis or some other type of, like a Humira or Enbrel, those drugs are very, very expensive. We're talking $5,000 a fill, $10,000 a fill. Certain medications are $50,000 per fill.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is. And see, people get mad, but because you don't, well, I got to pay $1,000. Yeah, that's your deductible, but your insurance company paid $49,000.
Mm-hmm.
So step therapy requirements, just understanding that is part of a lot of policies. And then the other requirements would be like before they even may approve an MRI, you may have to get an ultrasound first or
Mm-hmm.
go through therapy or something like that. So, okay, I'll get off my soapbox, but insurance is so convoluted and people don't take the time to get to understand it. So that's the main gist of it.
Right. But I think that's very important for everybody in the room and everybody who's going to be listening to this on a replay to understand and to know, because a lot of the times people are just looking, like you said, for the cheaper policy. People are just looking to just get it over with because they don't want to look through the policy. I know I don't handle it at all. I give it to Sean and let Sean handle it.
Right.
And, because this is what she does, And so I'm like, okay, well, just let me know where I could go and what I can do because, but we don't pay attention to it.
Exactly.
And so I think that it's very important that you said that, especially like I said, for the people in the room, because now it's time for you to really look at that. If you've had bad quality doctors, or if you're, you have a lot to pay out of pocket, then it's something that you may want to consider is checking your health insurance. Because actually, when I got the best quality health care, it's further away from my home, but they're what do you call it? They're something of excellence. They're like
Excellence.
say it again.
Center of excellence.
Mm-hmm. And so I went there. I had the best quality um care. The emergency room, the doctor who checked on me called me the next day. I couldn't get an appointment, and he said, I said she don't have an appointment for me until months out, and he was like, oh no, that's unacceptable. He got me in the next day. Had an amazing an amazing OBGYN. And it just was so, like, they were very hands-on. They weren't dismissive.
Me explain to you why that happened, Nikki, because it does go back to your type of policy. And this is something that people don't know. When you have certain policies, the doctors are paid differently.
Yeah.
That boils down to, right? So, and the doctors are also incentivized differently as well. So not thinking from the patient perspective, but thinking from the doctor perspective. If you're a brand new doctor straight out of school, you want to start your own practice, I would be in the HMO network, because the way that that contract works, they get a flat fee regardless of how many patients they see.
Mm,
For example, they may, and this is just a broad number, this is not true by any way, shape, or form. They may get $50,000 a month. If they see 100 people who come with the Blue Cross card or Cigna card or Aetna POS, or they may, if they see 5 people, they're gonna get that same 50,000. So it
mm,
makes sense for that brand new doctor. You may see a lot of new doctors going the perspective of being more private or concierge. That's because they became so burnt out with all this paperwork and prior authorizations and denial and go back to fight, fight, fight. They're like, screw it, I'm not taking no insurance. I'm going concierge. And they cater more towards those elite people,
mm.
or they have disposable income. They can afford a $5,000 doctor visit out their pocket, you know. So it is true that it's sad, but it's very likely that you will receive a different standard. I mean, I see it when but I know, because I know how different policies work, right? So I see the difference when my employer changes insurance policies. Like, I can either choose this one or that one. I mean, I always go at United Healthcare. That's just my personal they, they're count for count, they are the largest insurance carrier, medical carrier. People think it's Blue Cross or Cigna or Aetna. Is United Healthcare. United Healthcare has the largest provider network. So there you have
Yes. Yes. And I appreciate you sharing that, because we weren't even supposed to be really going into that part.
it.
But that's something that I think that everybody needs. So thank you for sharing that so much, because now I want y'all to go back and look at your policies and make sure, you know, you're getting what you need for what you're paying for. Right?
Bring back that class. Sign up. It's called Let's Be BFS. Become Financially Fit for Fibroids. I did it like 2 years ago. And there's so much that takes place. I mean, that class can legit be 4 hours long. You know,
Mhm.
make it as simple as possible and as straight to the point and simplified as possible. But I may launch it May at the end of the year. When people start going through their insurance policies, I may launch it again. So y'all just be on the lookout for it. I know we totally skipped all the other stuff, but we could come.
Right? And like we went right to it, but I'm seriously saying everybody needs to do it, because if you don't have somebody else handling that for you, I mean, you should definitely know how to do it for yourself. Anyway.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
So, my story.
Yes, I was gonna say let's because we done got all into everything else.
Right. So, and part of this, my story is very unique yet very similar to a lot of other people's stories we hear out there. So, my husband and I, who was then my boyfriend, were dating, and we did not want to have an unplanned pregnancy. So, I got in a Marina IUD, um, birth control. That conspiracy theorist is coming out of me.
Tin hat is on. My tinfoil hat is on.
Even conspiracy. I mean, it's facts, right?
Right.
But, so within 5 years, it has to be replaced. The IUD needs to be taken out and replaced with a new one. I was going to my OBGYN for 12 and a half years. She couldn't find the IUD. She said to me, "Did you take it out?" And I was like, "Take what out?" I didn't even know that was a thing.
Right.
Took me to ultrasound. Now, this is, and I always say, paint the picture, kind of go with me in your mind here for a minute. She sent me to ultrasound down the hall within her office suite, right? She not across town, not to the hospital. She sent me to ultrasound in her office. The ultrasound tech had me get undressed. She did a topical ultrasound, couldn't find the IUD, so she did a vaginal. And she's like, "Oh, there it is right there. Looks like it kind of shifted a little bit. By the way, how are your fibroids coming along?" And I go, "What's that?" And she's like, I'll let you talk to the doctor. I'm like, that was weird as hell. What are you talking about? I don't even know what you're talking about. Get back in there, and the doctor's on her computer looking at her screen and not really paying me much of attention, right? So she pulls up her calendar because she's trying to reschedule me to come back because so much time had passed that now they don't have time to take the IUD out. They need to have me come back.
Mm.
And so she's just going through the dates on the calendar. And I was like, can we talk about the fibroid thing? Like, can we go back to that? And
Right.
yeah. And she was very cavalier. She asked me, well, do you plan to have any more children? And I was like, well, I don't know. We just got engaged. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, we're not planning to have children, but I don't want that not to be an option. My husband doesn't have any children, right? And so she says to me, well, based on your age, I recommend you get a hysterectomy. And I go, what are you talking about? Now, Nikki, you heard me just say I'm an employee benefits consultant, right?
Yes.
So I set up to say that I know that while I don't know what it physically feels like to be in need of a hysterectomy, I know I didn't feel sick or whatever that feeling is. I didn't feel like I'm gonna get my darn IUD replaced. So I was asking her all these questions, and she was like, well, you can get them cut out, but they're just going to grow back. I've been doing this for 20, 30, whatever, however many years, and I just know what works. And so I was very emphatic about not wanting a hysterectomy. I mean, this is all within one doctor visit.
Wow.
I go to get my IUD replaced, and now I'm leaving with the recommendation, leaving with a diagnosis of fibroids. She still never said they were non-cancerous tumors.
Mm.
Told me you can change your diet and help mitigate a lot of these symptoms. You can help shrink them naturally if you're consistent over a long, over some time. She never told me any of that. She just told me that you can cut them out. And her words were almost verbatim. They're like kudzu. If I cut them out, they're just going to grow back anyway. So I don't know about you, but when my doctor compared my womb, this is the place where life is born, where life is developed.
Mm-hmm.
When my doctor compared my womb to kudzu, we're talking weeds that grow up the side of your house. That did not sit well with me at all.
Mm-hmm.
So talking about your blood boiling, a lot of times when I talk about it, I just get it takes me back there. And so I left feeling abandoned. I left feeling confused. I just didn't even know what to do. So I remember calling him when I got in the car, and I was crying and crying. Because I mean, is it sexually transmitted? Do we take the IUD out and they go away? Is it something that I ate? Like, is it a STD? Like I didn't know anything. She didn't give me the tools that I needed. So now when I get home to talk to him, he looking at me sideways like, well, what the hell you got?
Mm-hmm. And who gave it to you?
Exactly. And so
Mm-hmm.
there of confusion, frustration, abandonment that I had to deal with. And so we're talking about the mental health aspect of it. It really screwed with me. And so I did research for about 4 years, and I eventually had uterine fibroid embolization in 2019, April of 2019. And later on that year, I found a video that my husband took of me while I was under anesthesia. And I mentioned this to you. I video, and I was talking about the land of the Smurfs. So my post was about, this is what I've been dealing with, been doing research for 4 years. My doctor told me I have a hysterectomy, blah, blah, blah. If I can help someone, I hope this helps you, right? Be your own best advocate. But here's the land of the Smurfs. I was kind of like laughing about it.
Mm-hmm.
And my cousin called me. She said, girl, did you see your Facebook? And that's what you're referring to earlier. And I was like, no, I didn't really know how to do social media back then. And she's like, girl, your Facebook is blowing up. And Nikki, I remember pulling out my phone. My text messages are going off. My DMs are going off. And people are commenting on my Facebook posts. And I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? Right. And I remember opening up these messages. And there were messages from women who said, humans with the uterus. So if I say the word women, I'm just going to say it for the sake of this conversation because I'm tired of people attacking me. Humans with the uterus. I had messages from them saying, had I read your post sooner, had I understood your story sooner, I probably would not have had a hysterectomy. I can never have children. My 20-year-old daughter may not have had a hysterectomy. Men saying to me, I may not have been divorced. And I'm reading and I'm reading and I'm reading. And I'm just like, this is bigger than me because I had no idea. And I'm just like, I was so confused. I'm crying and I'm like, I'm getting nervous. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? And I went back home and I said, after I got off of work, I told my husband, I said, this is bigger than me. This is bigger than me. And like, I started having conversations with people and I'm like, oh my God, no one said this. Why aren't y'all talking about it?
Right.
And everyone knows what Susan G. Komen. They know that's a walk for breast cancer.
Mhm.
People don't know that Susan G. Komen is the one who actually died. Her sister started Susan G. Komen Walk for Breast Cancer. Everyone knows the pink ribbon.
Mhm.
Everyone knows Walk for Diabetes and Walk for Heart Health. Black women are the fastest growing degree earners in this country.
Mhm. Mhm.
Black women are the fastest growing CEOs in this country and the fastest growing business owners. We single handedly are a huge contributor to this community, to this society, to this economy. So why the hell aren't there any runs and walks out there for us?
Mhm.
That's the reason why I started it myself. I didn't see it out there. There's walk for women's health, but where's our walk for fibroids? I'm not discrediting anything else, but my concern, my passion is about uterine fibroids. Why aren't you out there walking in droves for that?
Yeah.
This year will be my third one. I did my first one in 2021. The middle of a pandemic, still wasn't nobody calling me back. There's one place out here right outside Atlanta called me back, and I did it there for 2 years, over 100 acres. It was a beautiful trail run. I'm actually moving it this year
Mhm.
during Fibroid Awareness Month, which is actually going to be the third weekend. So July 20th and 21st is a Saturday and a Sunday. The 20th on Saturday is going to be the 5K run walk. I thought of everything. You can attend in person. You can do it virtually. Virtually means you go sign up, go out on your own, do your own 5K, then come back and log your time. It's the honor system. We'll mail you your finishers T-shirt and your medal. You can gift the registration to somebody else. You can become a phantom participant. Phantom participant is simply, Latoya, I love what you're doing, but I ain't about to get out there and run. I ain't going to walk, but I want my T-shirt and I want my medal. That's what it is.
Mhm.
You can start your own team, create your own team. You can kind of become a little bit competitive online. We need sponsors. We need vendors, any and everything. Day 2 is going to be the Fibroid Awareness Brunch, which we're going to have experts come out to tell you different resources, different ways to mitigate fibroid symptoms, different ways to heal from fibroids. We're going to have doctors who perform non-invasive procedures, minimally invasive procedures to major surgeries. Hysterectomy should be the last option, contingent upon your situation. I'm not against hysterectomies. I want to make sure people understand that I'm not against hysterectomies at all. I am against unnecessary hysterectomies. And
Right.
statistics, about 60% of hysterectomies that are performed in this country are unnecessary. That's what I'm against.
Mhm.
Yeah, run FAR 5K. FAR is an acronym for Fibroid Awareness and Resources. And this is my baby. This is my flagship event. As long as God has wind in my lungs, I will be doing this every single year. And yes, I get out there and do it with you. Anybody who's seen me, they see me on that trail. I ain't there trying to win.
Mhm.
So I ain't
Don't
doing
think I'm running
no.
fast.
I am there to do a cute, dainty jog, to
Mhm.
another jog, to a walk until I get across that finish line.
Mhm.
So I would love for anybody come out there, come out and support. You know, if you come out, please make sure you come and find me personally and introduce yourself. Let's chop it up, give each other some positive energy, some love, and let's just continue to spread the word because my goal is to really be able to spread this into 10 different cities over the next 10 years.
Mhm. And I love that because again, I think we should be having these conversations a lot more often. You know what I mean? And I said this month I wanted to dedicate my platform to this because I did have the hysterectomy. And I needed to have it not because of the fibroids, because the fibroids, yeah, they were there, but it was the excessive bleeding that I was having that kept me going to the emergency room. I've never passed out in my life. I'm almost 50.
Mhm.
Never passed out in my life. I went to the ER. They took a long time to see me. And this was before I got to the Center of Excellence, right? So before I got to that hospital, I was at another one. And I passed out there. Like I just dropped, I passed out. Never
Mhm.
happened to me in my life. I was a little scared, you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't understand how to explain it. I didn't know what was going on with me. And I just passed out right there. And I'm like, this is crazy. And so the doctor said, it's not for you, to have this surgery because of your fibroids. If it was the fibroids, I would do another procedure. She said, but we need to stop this bleeding because this is the problem. And I went, I really could not believe. I was like, am I really going to have the surgery? And it's like, I can't spend. Do you know what it's like to be in the bathroom? Well, you do know, but in the bathroom from the morning to the evening because you can't get off of the toilet because you're just bleeding, and it's just like because you can't control it. You can't. I seen some woman on TikTok or YouTube. She's like she's using her Kegel muscles to control it, and I'm like, well, how much are you bleeding that you can
Right.
control it like that?
Right. I've heard somebody else say that too. And I tell you, that's a badass woman because I never got to that point in my life where I can do that.
No.
I can't, I'm not there yet. But to your point about passing out, I had major surgery just recently, November 16th of 2023. So people know that I had UFE, uterine fibroid embolization. It actually went off without a hitch. It was I had amazing results. And I actually got the doctor on videos telling me how my MRI showed I had amazing results with the UFE. The problem with me is that in 22, I actually had to cancel my second five
Mhm.
run walk because I got really, 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 really sick. Um, I was developing tingling, getting back to one of the symptoms, some of the symptoms you said, I have very similar symptoms. I had
Mhm.
tingling in my hands, tingling in my legs, in my feet, my lower extremities. My ankles were swelling. I was having heart palpitations the first time it happened. My husband, he's on one couch, I'm on the other couch, literally doing nothing. And my heart just started boom, boom. And I sat up, I'm like, oh my God, call 911. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, yes. And he looked at me. He's like, oh my God. He's like, babe, relax, relax. I'm trying to take deep breaths. And I'm like, trying to relax. And next thing you know, I pass out.
Mm.
So I started having these episodes between March of 22 and May of 23. And when I tell you, Nikki, I thought I was dying.
Mm.
I thought I was dying because I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. Every test, every lab result, every blood test, every urine analysis, everything came back clear.
Mhm.
I wore a heart monitor for 30 days. I had to get a CAT scan of the brain, MRI of the brain and of my full body. I had to get a transthoracic echocardiogram of my heart. Um, they did all types of stuff to my pelvis, MRIs of the pelvis. I went to a gastroenterologist. I went to a mental health therapist. I went to my OBGYN. I went to my general practitioner. I went to a neurologist. I went to a cardiologist. After about third, the third or fourth cardiologist, I was actually at my godson's birthday party. And they were like, "Oh my God, so glad to see you. Like, how you doing?" I was like, just so you, because it was so bad. Like, I didn't even look like myself or even talk like I didn't even sound like myself. And one of the girls at the birthday party overheard us talking, and she's like, I don't mean to be in your business, but do you have a cardiologist? And I was like, if you want to say that, yeah. And she's like, I really think you should go to my cardiologist. I work for a cardiologist in Midtown, right here at Emory University in Atlanta. I'm like, at this point, I'm willing to do whatever because they kept telling me wrong. And interestingly enough, my husband had to call the ambulance maybe 2 times, 3 times. We went back and forth over that, over a year, stint. So I went to that last cardiologist and she said, ask me all these questions that I didn't feel tied to anything. They're just really weird, odd, unimportant questions. And she said,
Mhm.
your face. She goes, we're getting somewhere. I'm like, okay, at this point, I'm willing to just do whatever.
Mhm.
So she ordered a scan of my leg. She's like, it's going to take 3 hours. Pack your patient. So I came back a couple of days later. They did scan them, front side of my legs, back side of my legs, turn around, lift your leg up, bend your leg, do this, do that. And a couple of days later, my results were ready. So I had a video visit. And she said to me, have you ever been diagnosed with fibroids? This is the cardiologist.
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah. Like she has no idea the fibroid pandemic.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, it's not a matter of if something bad's gonna happen. It's a matter of when.
Mm.
And she said to me, you got to get those fibroids taken out or else they're gonna kill you. And that was a gut check. That
Mhm.
was a gut check. And I decided to have robotic laparoscopic myomectomy. I had that November 16th. My doctor, Dr. Hawkins, Black doctor here in Atlanta. The reason why I chose her because she was one of the doctors I initially met with during my initial time frame when I was going through all the healing and researching.
Mhm.
The um, the other reason why is not only because she looks and sounds like us, but because she also had the procedure as well herself. Personally, she had fibroids,
Mhm.
and to me, it just made sense. Like I felt like I was sitting there with my sister taking care of me. And in full transparency, I did underestimate the surgery. It kicked my ass. Um, I, I eat healthy. I work out. I don't really eat any fried foods. No beef. I haven't eaten beef since '97. I haven't eaten pork since I was 16. Shit, my son is 30, and I'm just like, I'll be back on my feet in 2 weeks. No,
Mm.
the robotic portion of the laparoscopic myomectomy is just the approach in which they do the procedure. It's still major surgery.
Mhm.
And if you can imagine what it's like if you had a hysterectomy, so you probably understand it, um, for you to be fully dependent upon someone else in order for you to be mobile. Um, Being able to just swing my legs around so I can get out of bed.
Mhm.
Um, Needing help getting out of I could not get out of bed. I didn't my muscle and my abdominal walls were not strong enough. I could not lower myself onto the toilet. We don't realize how much we engage our abdominal muscles.
Mhm.
We make even when you lift your arms, you're still engaging your abdominal muscles. And that was a very humbling experience for me. I think the most humbling part of it was having to wait for my husband to take me to the toilet.
Mhm.
And he had like a work event one night, so him and my son had to switch shifts. And my son literally carried me up the stairs in the house. He stripped me naked and he helped me take a shower. And I was so embarrassed, Nikki, because I'm like, well, you know, go ahead, I'll be okay. I can do this. He's like, no, mom, no, I'm not going nowhere. And I said, okay, when you take my underwear down, it's going to be a lot of blood. He was like, I don't care about that. I don't know about y'all, but that feeling of humility, I never felt that before. And mainly because I've had to wear my cape all my life.
Mhm.
I had to wear my cape all my life. But after I had that surgery, that cape does not exist anymore. I do not wear the crown of being a strong Black woman anymore. I wear the crown of being someone who's sentimental, someone who has feelings, someone who can be happy, sad, mad, and glad all at the same time, someone who is deserving of love, someone who can give love, and someone who doesn't have to have all the answers all the time.
Mm.
I have to be a problem solver all the time. I don't have to be the resolution to everything all the time. Um, I have fully embraced living a soft life.
Come on, soft life.
I have fully embraced living a soft life. I don't I don't delve into the things that I would normally pop off about. That's just
Mhm.
my care level is almost non-existent. And when I tell you I've been doing breath work classes, I mean, you're talking someone who do boot camp. If I'm not sweating, drenched, panting for a break, I mean, I love doing boot camp and sit-ups and blah, blah, blah. Now I'm in there, yes, and all these sound bowls and bringing so much peace to my life. Here in Atlanta, 3 weeks ago, I was just recently awarded a $2,000 check by the Thompson Hotel. I got something in my eye, excuse me. Thompson Hotel's like a swanky hotel here in Atlanta, and they awarded my nonprofit. And I talked about, living that soft life, and I talked about just being able to allow me to see me
Mhm.
and not putting myself last all the time. And when I tell you it has brought a newfound respect to being just really honestly relearning who I am again. And I really implore, and there's so much, I can go so much deeper about my story. The time when I hemorrhaged, the time when a doctor said I was difficult, and when my husband showed up unannounced at the hospital. Like, there is so much more that goes with my story. But at the end of the day, it all just boils down to being your own best advocate, your own cheerleader. You have got to put yourself first. When I was in that hospital room, I was actually excited when I was going into surgery. My husband I didn't even know he was took a video of me going down there, pushing me down. I'm like, let's. But if I had not had that doctor there who looked like me and sound like me, if I had not already, I didn't have to do a lot of praying because I was already accepting of coming out on this other side. Because once you make your mind up, it don't make no sense to sit there and toy back. But what if? What if? No, I'm gonna be okay. And I went into it courageous, and I came out. I was like, okay. There's actually this video I'll probably post it when I finally get there. Like, is there? Am I good? 5 hours later, I was coming out of surgery. When you gotta wait for somebody to take your butt to the grocery store because you can't actually want. That's a newfound respect of calmness and humility. But I said a lot. There's so much more to say, but I know that we're strapped for time here. But again, getting back to our original topic at hand, it is so critical to advocate for yourself. Second opinion, third opinion, fourth opinion. I think before I had my UFE, the very first procedure, I think I had 5 or 6 opinions. When I got to Dr. Littman's office, it's so funny because I remember very vividly at the end, because I took my MRI and everything, brought the results, and at the end of that visit, they said to me, is there any more questions? I was like, no. And they was like, well, you didn't really need us. We feel very, and these are my words, not their words, but we feel inefficient. Like, we don't really feel like we really told you anything that you didn't already know. That's because I did the work.
Right.
When you're buying a new house, when you build a new house, you're gonna do your research, right? You're gonna check taxes in that area. You're gonna check out the crime rate. You're gonna check out so many things. When you're buying a new car, you're gonna do research. Research on cell phones, right? You got to do research. This is your body. We only get one. We only get one. But I'm so grateful that my son and my husband were there. There are people out there who don't have anybody to be with them.
That's right.
I was so grateful. But I just appreciate you for allowing me to tell my story. I really do.
And I'm so happy to have you here because, again, this is something that we all, as women, we need to, like you said, we suffer in silence. We need to stop doing that. We need to stop saying, oh, yeah, I can do it. I'm going to get through it. I'm strong. I got to still do this. I don't have anybody else to do it. I got to do it anyway. We need to get out of that. And I'm not saying relying on everybody, but I'm just saying, as far as your body is concerned, you're going to end up, if you don't take care of it now, you're going to end up needing somebody to help you take care of your body. And so you got to do what you need to do. You have to do your due diligence. You have to ask the questions. You have to make sure that the doctor that you choose is going to be the doctor that's going to give you the quality of care that you need. Because I tell you, it was very important. And it was just something about my GYN that I said, okay, I'm going to let you do it. There were plenty of doctors before her. But when I got to her, I knew it was like, yes, you're the person. And I had to go through all of those things because every doctor I've learned something different. Every doctor I have more information or something else I looked into because something just didn't feel right. And so I think I really want to say how proud I am of you for doing this and sharing your voice and sharing your light and sharing your experience with women out there. It's not easy to talk about it all the time because when you think about, I'm like, this is my platform. And I'm like, well, we're talking business, but I'm like, you know what? If your health is not taken care of, you have no business. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, what if we got guys and girls and we're talking about heavy menstrual cycles and this and that? And I'm like, you know what? I got to use my platform to bring my friends with me. And not only to bring my friends with me, like you have something to say. You have information that every woman in here needs. And so I wanted to make sure that I shared that with everyone in here, especially because there were things that I didn't know until we did our live together about the pads and things like that. Those were things I did not know about.
Yeah, and and I haven't always learned them either. To your point, the more doctor visits you went to, the more research you did, the more information you learned. But speaking about men, it's so critical that we bring men into this conversation.
Mhm, mhm,
Ladies, two things. Number one, if you are with a man, you're intimate with a man, and you guys are pretty, I don't want to say monogamous, but you may be monogamous or not or whatever. But if you are frequently involved with this person, then all of a sudden it just starts to hurt. It starts to feel uncomfortable. That is a telltale sign there may be fibroids present. Number one. Number two, men, if you were hitting it real good and all of a sudden it starts hurting her, she feels uncomfortable, don't think you tearing it up. Right? Don't get beside yourself. Now let me stop.
mhm,
But chances are there may possibly be fibroids present. And it's so critical that you understand that he's been through a lot with me, and I don't take it for granted. It's been hard. It's been very hard because there's been months that went by, there wasn't no action going on. You
mhm,
talking about, Nikki. You know,
mhm,
it's so critical that we have these conversations. And before we go, there's a couple myths. The biggest myth I always tell people, number one, they always say fibroids. Well, two things. They always say fibroids are non-life threatening. They are. They are. Not they can be. They are. I told you about my situation when my cardiologist said it's not a matter of if but when. The reason why I said that is because when I had UFE, the fibroid had became degenerate. Degenerate means it starts to shrink down, right? And shrinks, like shrink down and die. Um, when it becomes to a certain stage, it begins to calcify, like get hard, like a hardened organ. That's what it's
mhm,
like, right? It's like a dead organ in your body. That wasn't the problem. The problem was the fibroid was sitting on what's called my iliac vein. Y'all go and Google iliac, ILIAC. I must have been skipping health class that week because I'd never heard of the iliac vein. Okay.
mhm, and I'm with you.
The fibroid was sitting on my iliac vein. The iliac vein is the vein that recycles the blood supply from your lower extremities to my heart, to our heart, to your heart. And the cardiologist said, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm 99% sure that's why you're having the palpitations.
Mm,
Because your kidneys, your lungs, your liver, they're like, heart, come on, heart, give me my blood. Come on, you're tripping. The heart's like, hold on. I'm trying to get to it. I can't find it. There's no blood.
mhm.
It can't find the blood because it was pulling back in my legs. My ankles are getting
Well,
swollen.
I was about to ask you that. Were your ankles getting swollen? Mine were.
They were getting numb. They were swelling. They were tingling. My fingers were. I couldn't. The blood wasn't coming back up. So number one, fibroids definitely are life threatening. Number two, watchful waiting. Watchful waiting can be a death sentence. I will be the first person to raise my hand and say, I used to promote watchful waiting. You don't have to do anything. If they're not bothering you, you don't have to do anything about them. They're only 3 centimeters. They're only 5 centimeters. You don't have to do anything about them. The caveat to that, and there's only if you don't have to do anything about them, only if you have changed your lifestyle. 9 times out of 10, when people are watchfully waiting, what does that mean? Is your doctor taking MRIs regularly to see if the size has changed? Because if they're just doing a vaginal check on you, a topical check, a manual check, that doesn't necessarily mean that it has not changed its shape or its form or its size. So number one, you definitely have to get it monitored.
Mhm,
Best form of monitoring is going to be via MRI. Number two, you have to change. It has to be a complete lifestyle change. That whole dairy products, I know we like the ice cream, sis. Don't get me wrong. I eat chocolate chip cookies every now. You got to let it go. That pizza, that the extra gravy and butter. Now, I will say if I eat butter, it's going to be real butter, not margarine, because margarine.
mhm,
Anyway, but you have to make sure when you're watchfully waiting, you're changing your lifestyle. I don't mean change your lifestyle to get rid of all this bloated so you go on a girls trip in 3 months. So you look.
mhm, mhm,
No, I mean it has to be a complete lifestyle change from here on out. Because what people don't know, you can have UFE, you can have a myomectomy. Those fibroids can grow back if you're not changing your lifestyle. So
mhm.
I want to make sure I mention that because people aren't aware of that. So those two big myths, it's very critical that you are aware of that and that you make sure you act accordingly, because again, you only get one life and you might as well make the best of it.
Hmm. And I always say I know what we have now. I don't know what we're gonna have later. I know what we have here right now. So we gotta
Right.
definitely take care of this. Because if you're not gonna be happy here, what's to say what's next? You know what I'm saying? You don't know. But I was one of those people who were watchful waiting. Like I was wishing for menopause. I'm like, menopause get here, I'm be fine. Menopause was not happening.
No, me too.
And
I was one of those people doing watchful waiting, and I wasn't doing anything about it. I'm like, wait a minute, what is we like?
what
There's
am I watching and waiting for?
exactly waiting for it to get worse. That's it.
Right. Hmm. Hmm.
Because usually when you're watchfully waiting, the doctor doesn't give you the details as to what you need to do to mitigate the symptoms or try to help. And yes, you can shrink them naturally, but you have to be consistent.
Yeah.
Consistent, consistent, consistent. This isn't anything you could do for 90 days. This isn't anything you could do for 6 months. This has to be a complete lifestyle,
Lifestyle, yeah.
complete from here on out. It has to be.
And like you were saying, are you monitoring? Are you measuring? By the time I went to get my surgery, my uterus was swollen to the size of a baby.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I was like, well, they just said it was just a little small, the doctor said it was just a little small fibroid that I had. And she said, no, it was really swollen to about the size of a baby. She was like, it was huge.
I have videos of my uterus, and this was after it had already shrunk. So after my surgery, well, my surgeon, she took real life still shots when she was going in to do the robotic laparoscopic
Yeah.
myomectomy. So she took real life still shots, and she has it. And I'll actually send them to you personally. I don't care. Like, I'm not embarrassed by it. I do plan. I do want to help me with social media because I got so much content I need to talk about. I don't have time to do it because we
Right, right. You done added all this new stuff.
right, exactly, exactly. So I'll put the video out there, but I'm going to send it to you. Are you on WhatsApp?
Yes.
I'll send it to you. It'll probably come through clearer on WhatsApp for you to see it. But it's when you see my uterus. So what you're going to look at when you see the uterus, because the uterus is like a thin skin, right? It's not, it's durable, but it's very thin. Think of a
Mhm.
balloon. And when she sliced open the uterus, it was completely encased with the fibroids. So think of this as my skin. She sliced it open, and nothing but the whole fibroid was
Mm.
encased in my entire uterus. And that was after that already shrunken down. And by then my periods went from 9, 11 days to about 4 days. Like I was fine.
Mhm.
I started
Mhm.
having other symptoms and realized it was sitting on my iliac vein. So yeah.
Wow. Wow. So
Mhm.
I do have a question in here about healthcare. So Toya says, what are your thoughts on FSA and HSAs? FSAs and HSAs.
I love them both. The difference be okay. So they both provided tax benefit, double tax benefit, triple tax benefit. And the reason why I say that is because number one, it lowers your taxable income. It lowers the amount of money that your income that the government can tax you on. So that's a tax benefit there. And then when you use those funds on medically eligible items, it's considered you're not taxed on it either. So you can use it for your copays, you can use it for your deductibles, you can use it for prescription drugs, you can use it for your out-of-pocket exposure, your co-insurance. You use it for glasses, dental work. I use it for my I had Invisalign. I got my implants done. I use it for my LASIK eye surgery 20 something years ago. So yeah, they're both great. The difference between an HSA and an FSA is the fact that the funds in your HSA roll over from year to year to year.
Mhm.
They grow at an interest bearing rate. A flexible spending account, and FSA does not. It does not roll over. Now there are some policies that may have a rollover component to it. That came out around COVID time, but the majority of the policies are actually doing away with the rollover now.
Mhm.
But people usually shy away from the FSA because of the use it or lose it clause, which is not a bad thing. You just have to understand it. What
Mhm.
that means is if you do not use these funds, you lose it, right? A lot of times people say, well, I don't want my employer taking the money from me. It was already their money anyway. They're just fronting it to you. They don't, and another thing is that I tell people like that, well, my job, well, how does it work? Well, what happens is they withhold the money from your pay pre-tax, so it lowers your taxable income. And they put it in, think of like a virtual account for the FSA. They put into an account for you personally for you to use eligible medical expenses.
Mhm.
If you don't use the FSA, you lose it. It just goes back to the employer. It was already their money anyway.
Right.
I said that they're fronting you the money is because what a lot of employers don't tell you, and Lord, the employer's gonna be mad at me, is that you can, so the FSA has a couple components to it. It has a medical FSA, which you can use for eligible medical expenses.
Mhm.
And it also has dependent care FSA that you can use for your dependent care, like daycare for your children up to age 13.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, or if you have an adult parent where you are the legal guardian, the legal caretaker, you can use it for that as well. Dependent care and medical care. So dependent care, you use it for your children up to age 13. You must be a full-time employee or full-time working or a full-time college student. So if you're like trying to go back to school, get back on your feet, need childcare, use your dependent care FSA for that. The medical care FSA as well. What they don't tell you is that the medical portion is front loaded. What that is, let's say for the year you say, okay, I work for ABC company. All right, Mr. Employer, I want to sign up online for an FSA and I want to elect $2,500 for the year. What they divide that 2,500 based on your payroll cycles, right? So if you get paid 24 times a year, they take 2,500 divided by 25 or whatever it is. What they don't tell you is that from day one, so if you make your elections in December for a January 1st effective date, when January 1st comes out, full 2,500 is actually available to you day one.
Mhm.
So a lot of employers, as a consultant, I like to look at all the demographics. So if you have a lot of turnover, a high turnover, I discourage the employers from offering an FSA.
Mhm.
They can front load all this money, and then let's say let's say you front load 2,500 for 10 people, and 5 of them go have major surgery and reach their deductible February 1st. You're out of all that money. So what happens is the employer recoups the money because they're deducting it from your pay based on every pay cycle. But if you leave the company, they can't come after you for that money. They don't get it.
Mhm.
So they also can use it or lose it.
Okay. Okay.
Employees, well, if I don't use it, I lose it. I want my, well, it's actually a greater risk to your employer by offering you this money. So it says a lot about them and
Mhm.
to take care of their employees if and when they do offer an FSA. Um, Now, offering an FSA, and I use all of my FSA. Yeah, I always tell people year one, be a little bit conservative. If you've never done it before, don't go putting the max in there because at the end of the year, if you ain't got it, if you haven't used it all, you are going to lose it. So
Mhm.
year two, be a little bit conservative, see how it works, get used to it, and then you can start putting more money into it if you want to. With the FSA, do you have to meet the deductible before? It depends on the type of medical policy you have. So if you have an HSA plan, you can have a HSA medical plan that you can also use a flexible spending account with it as well. And HSA, think of the HSA like this: there are no upfront copays. Every time you use your policy, it goes towards your deductible.
Mhm.
So you can meet your deductible in one visit. That could be a hospital visit or multiple visits, multiple prescription drugs, whatever, until it accumulates to your deductible amount. So yes, you can use your FSA in tandem with the HSA, but just depends on, if you have a traditional copay plan, then no, you don't have to meet your deductible before you use your FSA. No. If your employer requires that, I've never heard that in 24 years. You know, if you're on a traditional copay plan, no, you don't have to use it.
Mhm.
You don't have to meet your deductible first. No, you use it for your copays. You can use it for your deductibles and everything else too.
Nice.
Mhm.
Nice. This is very good information. One more time, tell everybody about the event that you have coming up. And again, Tree's cousin, the best moderator on earth. That's who she is. If you could make it there, it's July 20th. We have a convention a conference that we're doing in Ohio. So I won't be able to go to Atlanta and then get to Ohio. So I'm gonna see if Latrice can go for us of Heartbeat Candle Co. and go for us to represent for us, because I really want to support what you're doing. Like I said, I love it. I think everybody needs to know about it. I think we all need to be talking about this together. And if we don't, again, like you said, we're looking at breast cancer. We're looking at we're looking over there. We need to be looking here too. Somebody has to be the voice that is heard worldwide, because it's not just urban women. It's not just, you know what I'm saying? Not just Black women. Like, we really need to be the voice for the women, period. But especially Black women, I'm just gonna say that. But we really do, because if, like you said, if we're not gonna advocate for our own health, who is going to speak up for us?
Exactly. And that's very true. 70% of women will develop fibroids in their childbearing age. We're talking age 12 to age 50. 80% are Black. It just makes sense, right? So, you can follow me on social media at the Fibroid Pandemic. You can also go online to the fibroidpandemic.com. As far as the race, again, it's called Run FAR 5K. FAR is an acronym for Fibroid Awareness and Resources. If you actually go online to runfar5k.com, it'll bring you up to our race registration site. That's through Race Roster. You can, again, participate in person, virtually, create your own team. You can donate a gift registration to someone else. You can become a phantom participant. We're also looking for volunteers day of, someone who can sweep the course, clean up the course, help us direct cars in. We need probably about 10 to 15 different volunteers. So we'll be more than happy to have you. Again, I thought of everything that I could. We need sponsors. We need vendors. If you guys are listening to this, and if you do decide to come out, please make sure you stop and say hello to me. It really means a lot when people say, "Oh, I saw you here. I met you there," because that lets me know. And I'll tell you this one thing, lets me know I'm doing something right. When we did the race last year, I was, like I said, I jog and I walk and I jog and I walk. This by me, and she was kind of running by talking. So we kind of turned backwards, kind of running back. And she said to me, she said, "Don't give up. Don't this. This is, you're doing something amazing. I know it's hard. Just don't give up. It's gonna take off. Just stay in there." And I don't know this lady. She said she went to both of my events. She's been to both. And I told her, I said, I really needed to hear that, because Nikki, I lost a ton of money.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That's okay. But thank you. Thank you so much. I really
But you're gonna get it back tenfold, because what you're doing is led by God. What you're doing is led by, just the spirit. And you're out here talking about it. And again, if because you were talking about it one day, and you were talking about Dr. Hawkins, and I had initially, I was going to go see her, but again, I'm here, she's in Atlanta, and I was like, how's that going to work? So we did do the online consultation, but we never really got to connect. But it was because of you. I knew what to ask. I knew what was going on in my body. You remember I told you I'm waiting for menopause. You know what I'm saying? Like, hopefully it'll just come in and that'll be okay. But it wasn't. And it was because of you and your experience and you sharing your story and you creating this platform that I knew when it was time for me to do what I needed to do. And I just want to say thank you so very much, Latoya. I really appreciate you.
absolutely, it's my pleasure. I'm such a big baby. Hearing stuff like that is the reason why I do what I do. When a doctor told my 20-something-year-old niece to have a hysterectomy, I was like, I'm not stopping. I'm pressing the gas.
Yeah.
And hear you say stuff like that, it really means a lot. It really does. It's not easy for us.
Mm-mm.
We're the last on a totem pole, but we don't have to be.
Mhm.
We don't have to be. Nikki, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And also for you guys that are still bleeding, please say the pads again so that everybody can go and support.
Brain pads. So my
And
brain,
not just support. Let me just take that back. Not support. I need you to go get them, because it's better for your body.
they are. It's called my my brand is called Pure Bloom Essentials, which we sell the Rain sanitary napkin, REIGN. Can I? Well, I don't know if I can put it in the chat here because
I'll
I
put it in here for you.
I don't want to. I don't want to go because I have the link, so I can send you the link, Nikki. You're welcome to
And
share.
I'll put it on the stories. Yeah.
Yes, you're welcome to share it, and you can do auto ship. I mean, we get our periods every single month. You can do it auto ship, or there may be some months where you say, you know what, just skip me this month and come start back over in 2 months. That's fine as well. You can stop it, as long as you do it within a couple of days of your shipment going out automatically. You can stop it whenever you want. But it has a lot of benefits to it. I've been using these pads myself personally for about 5+ years. So I don't, one thing I would never do, and if you guys don't know anything about me, one thing I don't do, I don't promote anything I don't believe in.
Mhm.
I don't do that. There's plenty of products I could have been promoting years ago.
Correct. Mhm.
I won't do it. So just trust and believe. If I promote something, that's because I've tried it, I've sampled it, I've seen it, I did it, I put my stamp of approval. Doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Not this situation. Doesn't mean like in general, but the pads.
Mhm.
But I always make sure I investigate it myself personally. So I really appreciate the opportunity. And I'll do I put it in the chat here or do I send it to you separately? And how does
You could do both. I don't know if they're going to be able to click it if it'll be a clickable link.
okay.
So I
If,
mean, try it and see, and we'll see if it clicks. It clicks. If it doesn't, then I'll put it in my stories.
let me try to, are you still there?
I'm still here, but you're not.
Let me go grab it real quick. Let me
It's darkness over there.
right. Let me grab it. Okay, let me try to bring you back here now. All right, there we go. I don't know. Let me okay, comment. I don't know if it's gonna let me do it. Oh wow, look at all those comments. You guys are amazing. How do I put this in there? Okay, let's see. Right, I don't know if it's gonna stick, but I just put it in there.
Let me see. I
Yeah,
don't see it.
okay, maybe I
I
didn't.
don't see it. If anybody sees the link in the chat, let me know. Put a one in the chat. Oh, I see it. It's in a private chat.
Oh, sorry.
I got it.
Yeah, so that's again my brand is called Pure Bloom. That's the name of that's my online store. So if you guys have any questions, what I will be doing, I will be going live soon to do actual online demonstration, which shows you the absorbency of it, but also have so full transparency. It has what's called graphene. It has a graphene strip in the middle of it, which helps extract a lot of the toxins. It helps with the absorbency. So when I go live to do the demonstration, you'll get a really clear, a better look of how great this pad really is.
Good. Good.
Mhm.
Because like you said, what we're using now what's out there, it's not good for us. It's not healthy. My sister was saying to me some time ago, she was like, you really need, she's like, especially those tampons, you really got to stop. And I'm like, I don't have any options. I don't have any options. I need the tampons and I need the pads. I don't have any options. And I have to double up. You know what I mean? So I am so glad that you are, doing what you're doing again. And this is another thing that we can do as women to make sure that we're taking care of our womb health.
That's right. I love you, girl. Thank you
I
so
love you too. Thank you so much, Latoya. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate you. And I appreciate you guys for joining us. I hope this information was beneficial. I hope that if oh, you know what? I didn't even ask anybody if they had any questions, but I think we were doing it as we were going along.
much.
You have time?
I have a couple minutes. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions in the chat? I'm so sorry. We just got wrapped up in it. I kind of grabbed them as I seen them, but if there's any questions in the chat, let me know. And we'll get those asked answered for you right away.
Absolutely.
Yes. And what else do I want to say? What else do I want to say? Oh, you could have put the link. Well, no, don't do it now. I'll put it, I'm gonna do a whole little thing on you and then I'll put it up with all the links for the far run for RK.
Yeah.
5K. There I go again, messing it up. I'm even looking at it. So yes, I'm gonna put that in there. If they want to be vendors, if they want to be volunteers, I'm gonna put that in there too. Because if you are in the Atlanta area, in the Georgia area, and you would like to go and support, please do so. If you know someone suffering with fibroids, if you yourself is suffering with fibroids, if you know someone who's had surgery due to the fibroids or due to heavy menstrual bleeding, make sure that you guys go out and support. You're going to find so many resources and connections and just so much information that you can use, or somebody you can pass on to somebody else, because clearly we need to be more open with these kind of conversations.
And we do, which is, I guess I'll announce it to you. Girl, I got So what I'm going to be doing, I'm in the midst of branding the fibroid pandemic as the Amazon of fibroids, meaning that we go to Amazon to buy electronics, to buy cleaning supplies, to buy toiletries, to buy clothes. What's his name? Mr. Amazon, what's his name again?
Pesos.
He doesn't make any of that himself, but you can go to get all these other options, all these things, right? So the fibroid pandemic, our goal is to become the Amazon of fibroids, in which you come to the fibroid pandemic to get everything all fibroid need,
Mm.
all things fibroids that you would need. So I'm building a provider directory. Actually, the infrastructure is already built out. I'm just soliciting different providers who do minimally invasive procedures, mental health therapy, because we talked about mental health portion a little bit,
Yeah.
who do major surgeries, nutritionists, fitness experts, life coaches, because you got to get your life right too, you know. So I once I get that up and going, and my goal is just have people find one stream of resource, because when I was diagnosed, I didn't have anywhere to turn.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't tell me anything. I had to go do everything myself.
That's right.
Do
Mm-hmm.
everything myself. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so
So
that's
we do have a question in here. How do you feel about reusable options like
okay.
the menstrual cups?
Oh, I knew that question was gonna Um, I personally have never used them, so I cannot vouch for them, nor can I say anything negatively about them because I personally never used them. Number one. One thing I would strongly, strongly suggest. So if you do use them, make sure you know where the where the material is sourced from.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, organic, what does that really mean? Because the government has such loose regulations around organic labeling. What does it really truly mean? But also, when you're sitting these reusable cups at, I personally would not use them. Me, that's just me. I've heard people say great things about them, but I never tried it. I don't really wish to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when you think about it, when I think about putting a cup at that, because what you're doing is putting at the base of your cervix. That's where you shed blood at. It's you're kind of holding it there at the base of your cervix. You're not really allowing your cervix to fully free bleed, which allows it to fully extract the toxins. For me, it doesn't sit well with me knowing that it's just sitting there,
Mm-hmm.
allowing my body to fully void of it. So I don't have any interest in it. But I have heard people say good things about them. I've just never tried them and I don't really care to.
Me neither.
Heard people say great things about it. So
Yeah.
but just be careful, just be cognizant, and do research to verify where the material is sourced, where it's sourced from and how it's sourced. That's what I would say.
Okay. So we have another question for you on the screen from Lakeisha Keisha. She said, you got it.
When you have fibroids attached to your wall and stuck to your fallopian tubes, is it possible to have another procedure done besides a hysterectomy? Um, it really depends. And, I'm not a doctor, but what I will say is that everyone's situation is different. It really depends upon the adhesions. It depends upon if there's any scar tissue there. It depends on what that adhesion is like when, you're saying that it's stuck to your fallopian tubes, where it's attached to it. What does the attachment look like? There's so many other things you have to take into consideration. Um, it may possibly be an alternate option other than a hysterectomy, but everyone's situation is different. What I would really suggest is that you reach out to your doctor, have them perform an examination, get an MRI, and they should be able to tell you whether or not, what your options truly may be. A hysterectomy may be the only option, it may not be the only option. So, when you go to your doctor, make sure you arrive at your doctor's office question ready. Come with your questions. Don't just think about things when you get there. Come question ready, because that
Mm-hmm.
will allow you to maximize your doctor visit, because statistically the doctors give you about 6 minutes of face time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's really good to be armed with your questions and when you get there, you're going to forget. Because I remember when I went after my surgery, there was a piece that came out and I forgot. I went there to ask, well, I was going anyway, but it was my follow up and I wanted to ask about this mask that came out and I totally forgot about it.
You,
And so have your questions ready because I had to call a bag. and figure, get her to answer it. But, have your questions ready, because you think you're going to remember and you're not going to remember. I could tell you that for sure.
You're right, because they ask you questions and then you start asking them, and before you know it, you're gone. And yeah, just come on with your questions.
Yes.
I feel like this is from Deltra.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure to pronounce that.
Deltra.
Deltra. I recently was diagnosed with a pedunculated fibroid. Is it a different treatment wise as far as the different types of fibroids? Well, a pedunculated fibroid is just think of it like a fibroid that's like, say this is your uterus. The pedunculated fibroid kind of sits off like a stalk. It's like a stalk. It's like dangling almost. So some pedunculated fibroids can cause more bleeding contingent upon where they are. Some may be more difficult to navigate contingent upon where they are, and some may just be very easy to just extract. But as far as the different treatment, it just really depends on how your pedunculated fibroid is positioned and where it's at. It can be at the top of your fibroids, more towards your diaphragm area, which may be a little bit more difficult for your doctor to get to contingent upon the procedure that you are exploring, or it may not be. But either or, usually pedunculated fibroids cause quite a bit of bleeding. So again, my suggestion would be to talk to your doctor to see what your options are. And don't just let your doctor tell you a hysterectomy is the only option. Now, a hysterectomy may be the only option, again, contingent upon your situation, but get a minimum of at least two opinions, 2 or 3 at the very minimum.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would suggest.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'd agree with that too. Mm-hmm.
Say that again.
I said I would agree with that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
More than one opinion.
Yeah, they can actually be a little bit more painful too. So yeah, I hope you found that helpful, Deltra. I'm sorry.
So yeah.
I'm seeing, okay, I see comments. Oh, there we go. I see her comments there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I hope you guys found this to be very helpful. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. I mean, oh, you're very welcome. If there's any other questions, we could stick by for another 5 minutes or so. But this has been very helpful to me, Nikki. A lot of times I don't realize how I've helped someone because we just have regular conversations, right? I just like to keep it real. If you ain't know nothing about me from day one, I'm going to be the same Toya. I'm going to be the same.
That's right. That's right.
You never have to worry about where I stand or question where I stand, because I'm going to tell you. And if I don't tell you, it's probably I just don't like you.
I don't want to keep the conversation going on with you. I don't care to talk to you.
Right. Yeah. I just don't. I pick up my energy, and I don't really, I don't like if my energy, if you give me bad juju, then I just try to, because I don't want no beef with nobody. I come in as I go do my breathwork class.
Okay.
But
so it looks like everybody enjoyed
yes.
this conversation. Also, cousin, best moderator on earth, who her name is Latrice of Heartbeat Candle Co. And she's in Atlanta. She says she may be a volunteer. So she's also going to Ohio too. But she says she may be a volunteer.
Well, the easiest thing she can do, go online to runfar5k.com. And there is a option for you to sign up as a volunteer. There are different positions available that you can sign up as a volunteer. Pick one of them. When she does it, Nikki, give her my information. Just have her reach out to me personally.
Mm-hmm.
But I keep an eye on it.
Okay.
So there's different positions she'll see out there if it's something that she's interested in doing. And if for any reason she can't make it, just tell her to let me know, and I can make sure that we remove her from that position. We can have someone else step back in.
Okay. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
My pleasure.
And so Jill said, definitely ask questions. I trusted my OBGYN not knowing it was her first laparoscopic procedure.
Ooh.
Almost died.
Well, I guess, right? That's scary, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's scary. Oh, my God.
I mean, you got to learn, but,
Yeah. I wouldn't want to be the first one.
No, I wouldn't either. I would not want to either. I think we need to have a part 2, because I mean, we can go on. There's so many parts. There's so many layers to this story. And like you said,
It's,
there's so many different ways that we could approach this, and we definitely need to like get into it a little bit more.
yeah, I mean, let me know when you want to do it. I mean, I'm pretty easy. When you and I can get our schedules together,
So, right.
I'm very easy. Just hit me up. You got my personal number. Text me,
Mhm.
send me a DM, text me, and we'll figure it out.
Yes, definitely.
More than happy to do a part two. Yeah, because these are things that women they just need to know, and they could bring their man, bring the kids, so the kids know, mommy, why are you so tired? Because I'm bleeding, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I ain't got no energy.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
So I would love to just let me know whenever you're ready.
Yes, sounds like a plan. So
Absolutely.
thank you again so much, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Y'all make sure y'all go on ahead and follow Latoya because the fibroid pandemic. Go on and follow her. Make sure you engage. She has so much valuable information on there, not just about her event that she has coming up. She has information about everything. So make sure that you guys follow her. Tell her that we sent you on over there. Say hello if you're in the Georgia area, Atlanta area. Make sure you guys go and attend the event if you can volunteer, sponsor, or participate, whatever you want to do. All of it is appreciated. You guys, I will see you guys in the morning for Coffee with Nikki. I will be here for Coffee with Nikki. I will see you back in the morning. Thank you guys. Thank you, Latoya.
I'm going to send you a text message too.
Sounds like a plan.